Do the honor.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. No, because we're not going to take a vote. I don't want to take a vote. Okay. We are going to start off here with the ZBA application for Chick-fil-A. It's a continuing public hearing. We opened that public hearing on March 18th. So,
good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Charlie Gottlieb from the law firm of Whiteman, Osterman, and Hanna in Albany, New York, here on behalf of Chick-fil-A. Here this evening with Tim Freitag of Bowler Engineering, our project engineer, and John Martinez with Chick-fil-A. As you stated, Mr. Chairman, this is a continued public hearing. At the last meeting, we obtained ZBA comments and a few comments from members of the public. We're here for sign variances as well as dimensional area variances to facilitate the Chick-fil-A on the project site. Throughout this process, we are pleased to report that we continue to eliminate and reduce area variances as the project changes. The area variances that are needed at this point are front yard variances, both from the front yard. This is along West Merritt Boulevard. The project site fronts West Merritt Boulevard and Route 9. So from the West Merritt Boulevard lot line, we need a front yard variance of 21.9 feet. And from the center line of West Merritt Boulevard, 60.9 feet. And again, that's to facilitate the open-aired canopy where customers will pull under and make their orders to team members that take and process their orders. Another front yard setback is related to the Route 9 lot line, and that is actually for the entrance of the drive-through. All of those area variances have been reduced. We discussed at the last meeting, we took out the third lane of the drive-through, the bypass lane, which also eliminated the impervious surface variance that was needed. Many of the comments we received at the last meeting were related to the remaining sign variances. So our last submission that you see on the screen here this evening discussed some changes to the proposed signage. First, we eliminated the proposed monument sign that was going to be on the Route 9 frontage. That eliminated 2 variances and reduced 2 variances. We have also taken off the wall sign that is on the western elevation, which is facing the Dunkin' Donuts that is on the project site. That has reduced 2 variances that we previously requested. So the remaining sign variances that we require at this time are related to primary sign size. We've reduced that request by 51.93 square feet, and that's because of the elimination of the wall sign and the monument sign. We are also still in need of a variance for the number of primary signs. The zoning code allows 1 to be permitted. We are proposing now 3 wall signs. So we need an area variance of 2 signs there. Initially, I'll remind the board that we initially requested 5 primary signs for the project. Now we've been reduced down to 3. We were asked by the ZBA members at the last meeting to take a look at other commercial facilities adjacent in the surrounding area of the project site. Notably, we looked at the most recently approved Chipotle and Five Guys building. That project has a total of 6 wall signs, 3 for each business. So at the moment, we are just proposing 3 wall signs for the Chick-fil-A, similar to what Five Guys and Chipotle has. Again, we're a unique property, and some of the comments we've received from the planning board during that process was to ensure there's traffic safety, internal identification of the project site so people know where they're going and can efficiently get there without having to look and be distracted while driving. So we do believe that the sign variances and the signage we've proposed here have been reduced to the maximum extent practicable to make sure that people know where they're going and won't be distracted driving. We were before the planning board last week. The planning board adopted a secret negative declaration, and so that concludes the secret process for the project and is applicable to your board as well. The planning board has directed their attorney to prepare an approval resolution for its May meeting. And that approval resolution would be considered at the May meeting if this board finds it appropriate to act on the variances tonight. So we're here to answer any questions and listen to the public to the extent there are any comments.
Well, I'm still not, I appreciate the fact you're making an effort on the signs. The monument sign was a no-go right out of the blocks. Okay, I think you knew that. We told you up front that there was going to be a problem with the signs. Mm-hmm. Okay. The sign on the back of the building was not going to do any good. Okay. The thing that I'm concerned about, and the county also picked up on it, is redundancy on the sign on the front of the building, on the eastern edge, and on the northern face. Now, this redundancy, when you're sitting at that traffic light, you'll see both signs on the front and the side of the building. There's no need to have two signs in the same, from the same viewpoint. There's no need for that. So, you know, my advice to you is choose one. Pick one side. The one on the southern, you know, I'm not even sure if that's really, you know, a primary sign, to be honest with you. That's one with the chicken.
Yeah, it's got the logo.
Yeah, but it's that sign on either the front or the side of the building that I'm concerned with. Okay. That's really the only problem I have at this point with this application.
And one thing I will say to that point is, you know, related to redundancy, that logo sign is certainly smaller and different looking than the Chick-fil-A lettering signs, which are on the other facades.
Right. So like I said, I don't have a problem with that, you know. So.
And it is important, I understand what you're saying, that you could potentially see both as you're pulling up to the intersection of West Merritt Boulevard and Route 9. The planning board was somewhat concerned with folks that are entering the project site from the south, so by the Chipotle and the Five Guys, and internally being able to identify the Chick-fil-A so that people aren't driving through vacant parking spaces, they're using the drive aisles and so forth.
Well, that was the other thing we had suggested, that you can have directional signs within the plaza. And I believe you're going to be out on the monument sign out front. Is that correct, right?
At the moment, there are no plans to do so. We'd have to engage with the property owner.
I would think you would be on there. I would expect you to be on there. And I understand they're contemplating on replacing that sign. But I think you ought to take advantage of the directional signs within the plaza itself. You know, we had mentioned that, you know, you get building 600, building 200, and so forth. You get a directional sign for Chick-fil-A. And you wouldn't need a variance for that.
Another thing I'll highlight is if we look at the Chipotle and Five Guys building. So if you're on Route 9 going south.
That's not a good argument. That's a poor argument, to be honest with you. I hear you, and, you know, I don't know how that got there, and we don't want to make that same mistake twice here.
Yeah, no, and what I was saying was you can see as you approach those two signs on each
I understand that. You know, I don't know how that got there. I don't know who approved that. I'm not sure. I don't know the background behind there. And we don't want to make that same mistake twice. So that's my advice to you is, you know, consider one of those two signs.
Sure.
Okay.
Looks like Tim wants to say something.
Okay.
I'm going to try to find the latest site plan here on the screen. Good evening, Tim with Bowler Engineering. We're the site civil engineer on the project, developing the site development plans. So if I hear the concern correctly, say the top of the page is planned north along West Merritt Boulevard, and east is along US Route 9. So the
Right.
concern is the two signs, one facing West Merritt Boulevard and one facing US Route 9.
Right.
Pick one is the challenge that we're given. Understood. So those two signs have different visibility view sheds, and it all relates to traffic, right?
When you're sitting at that intersection, you're going to see both signs.
And if you're sitting at the intersection, it's too late to make your traffic maneuver.
You
You
still go
need-
down that next entrance.
So you need to capture the southbound traffic entering off of West Merritt Boulevard before you approach this intersection. You need to make that proper turning movement a couple hundred feet back from this intersection. And I understand what you say, if you miss it, go to the next one. People aren't going to wait to go to the next one. They're going to turn right quickly and cut that person off to get into West Merritt Boulevard.
I'll be honest with you. I go through that intersection. I would much rather go down to the next one because to avoid the traffic, to avoid the congestion.
Yeah.
If you ever sat in that intersection, you'll know what I'm talking about.
No, I have, and I understand, but there's some folks who may not be familiar with the area, and they see Chick-fil-A, they're going to turn as quick as they can to get into that next lane and turn into the site. So that's one purpose or separation between that northern sign and the eastern sign. You also have folks approaching the signal from the east. They will see the front sign, but they won't necessarily see the side sign as they're sitting right here to go straight through the intersection. And lastly, you have folks coming from Walmart and the center behind and the gas station across the street that we agreed to remove this sign because there is redundancy there. You can see the north elevation and the west elevation. But if we remove the north elevation, then you're not seeing any signage there. And I understand your comment about wayfinding signage that could be, covered under directional signage.
You really think
there.
people aren't going to know where Chick-fil-A is?
So if you,
Come on, let's be realistic here.
if you live here, you will, but you still have folks from out of town visiting or traveling this corridor that aren't familiar with it. And those are the ones that cause the accidents as they turn.
I don't know, you
across
got data on that,
multiple
or
lanes
is that a
of highway.
supposition? I mean,
So I'm just speaking from an engineering background, that's the purpose of these signs. And then lastly, why we wouldn't want to eliminate the eastern sign on the front of the store is now you have folks walking from your car to the store. That's right over the main entrance. You naturally navigate to that sign as the main entrance to the store. Just subconsciously, that's what you do. So without a sign there, you would pause. You'd have to look around and try to identify.
so is that
where
the sign you're going to
front
choose?
is. I'm not sure we're going to be able to choose right now, and we can consult with the applicant. But this northern sign does have a real purpose from a traffic engineering standpoint. So
You definitely need a sign on the front of your building where you enter.
where your entrance is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And, we were talking a little bit here a minute ago, and kind of what you say kind of makes sense to me now. Because if you are coming south on Route 9, that, sitting at the intersection like Ron says, yeah, you're going to see both signs. But I guess what you guys are looking to do is to say, hey, here we are, move to the right and get ready to come in and see us.
I wish I had a zoom out just a hair of this intersection. And as you know, you're familiar with it, it's not a two-lane road. There are multiple lanes, 4+ turning lanes. There are multiple lanes to cross. You need adequate time
To get over.
to start making your turn. That's the unique portion about this and why we're requesting 3 signs. I understand the concern of exactly what we
So
did.
if you're
We
coming
compared
down
3
south
to
on Route
others.
9, those are people who live here in the area. They're going to know where Chick-fil-A is.
Everybody has family visiting at times. Everybody doesn't live here who's traveling this
All right.
corridor all the time.
All right, I'm just asking you to make a choice because you're putting the application at risk. That's the way I see it.
Well, maybe if we could go through the board and hear
I
more
have a-
questions or concerns?
I do have a question.
Yeah.
So, and to your point about the Walmart, people who are in Walmart, or if they're coming from other locations, and looking at this, if you can point, the sign is on the brown picture, the brown image, right? Because that's the building.
That's correct.
What are the 4 black objects that are, what is that?
That's the patio seating.
Okay, and so, and then the gray is the drive-through,
Canopy,
correct?
Correct,
So
with no signage.
how high up or where in relation, if I'm coming in on Merritt, or if I'm at Walmart and I'm looking through the, you know, the landscape of asphalt, where is that seen? Is that above the canopy? And also, my other question is, and I'm actually not that familiar with Chick-fil-A. Everybody else seems to be, but I am not. Do you have, like, colors, you know, like Walmart has blue and yellow? Does Chick-fil-A have that color, so like the color of your building is going to in and of itself kind of trigger that? You know, it's all about training people's brain, right?
Yeah.
So,
Do you have an elevation view with that?
The
I think you
elevation,
did in your original submission, right?
we did, and it's a two-tone brick of natural colors.
Okay.
With a dark bronze trim to make it aesthetically pleasing. It's not the Chick-fil-A colors. The Chick-fil-A color is red and
is-
white.
Red on
right,
white,
okay.
So you don't have the branding in the building
Okay.
architecture, to your question. And then
Okay.
the canopy is also that dark bronze color
Mm-hmm.
with like a 10-inch fascia of dark bronze made to blend into the trim of the building. So
Okay.
again, no branding.
okay,
The clearance or the height of the canopy is about 10 feet, plus or
Okay.
minus. The signage would be slightly above that on the building, around 13 feet, I believe it is, 13
Okay.
to 15 feet in height. So when you're looking from the street, you'd be looking over top of the canopy at the wall
and still be able to
signage.
see it?
But you're also trying to catch those drivers coming from
Right.
back by Walmart before they hit that intersection.
Correct.
You want them to see that, so the canopy is not really in the way.
That's right. And if we can capture that traffic internally, it's less traffic out on Route 9, which is always preferred by DOT.
May I remind you that the granting these area variants and these sign variances, the minimum variance deemed necessary and adequate, and duplicity does not fall into that category.
Yeah, I guess where we agree to disagree is on the duplicity. So there is a point further north that you're not going to be able to see two signs. You're going to see the one on the northern elevation, but you're not going to see the one on the eastern front facade.
Well,
So it's more of almost a safety concern.
It's all around traffic safety. That's right.
That does
And
kind
that's
of
the
make
purpose
sense.
of signage, right? Signage is to identify early enough to where folks can be attracted to it.
And like I said, that is 4 busy lanes, so you do want people to try to get over.
Yep.
as
And
best
without a
as
monument
possible.
sign, there's no more monument sign out there. You need to know where to go.
so you don't think they'll be doing any advertising and anything like that in the papers or in Facebook or anything?
It's already out there.
Oh, yeah, we see commercials all the
It's already-
time.
Like,
You all watch
you make it
the
sound like
market.
this is the only way we're gonna know where Chick-fil-A is. I mean, there's multiple other venues or ways that you can get people to come to Chick-fil-A, and your signs is not the only way, and that's what you're making it sound like, it's the only way people are gonna know where Chick-fil-A is.
It's not. People are going to know Chick-fil-A's here, and they're going to start driving to there. And even when you use the apps now, the apps tell you where to go, but they get you 95% of the way. The last 5%, you're looking up and trying to find that building so you know where to go. And that's the critical component here of that northern sign.
You know, like I said, you know, it still falls into the duplicity, you know, so.
Anything to add?
I would like to, you know, I'd like you to come back next time, and I'd like to consult together, you know, review this, and come back next month, you know.
I can't remove that. John Martinez with Chick-fil-A. I hear what you're saying, but.
Sir, identify yourself,
Yeah,
please.
sure. John Martinez, Development Manager with Chick-fil-A. You know, we felt that having that third sign there is appropriate. I mean, honestly, I wanted to keep the sign on the back of the building for exactly the reason, to identify folks coming from Walmart, and remove the sign that faces West Merritt Boulevard. Would that be an option? Because then we wouldn't have a duplicative sign situation. You wouldn't see that sign with any other sign. It would be all kind of separate on the building. But I do believe it's important for folks that are coming from behind us, I'll say to the west of us, traveling east, to be able to identify us. We are kind of in the middle of an island, and so 2 signs would not be sufficient to properly identify the Chick-fil-A. I feel pretty strongly that we should have that third sign there.
Well, I
So the
understand
exact
that,
location-
but I feel pretty strongly, it seems like every application that comes here, they want a sign on a wall, on every wall of a building, and it's just getting ridiculous here. And like I said, this is very simply, it's duplicity, you know? And people are gonna know what Chick-fil-A is. People are gonna know it. People are asking me now for it, you know?
Is one of the concerns of the board that you don't want to set a precedent so that future applications don't come in, we gave Chick-fil-A this many signs?
Exactly, and you're using the Chipotle as a precedent, and we don't know how that happened, but we don't want it to do it again.
So what I can tell you is, and I certainly defer to your counsel to advise your board, there is case law out there that does say an administrative board like yourself has to follow prior precedent. But that doesn't apply when you have unique facts or a unique set of property. Here we have a very unique set of property. One, we're islanded by roads. So inherently for traffic safety and for visibility, we need the additional signage. But we're within a shopping center, surrounded by 2 heavily trafficked roads, and so right there you have your distinguishing features. So that when a future applicant comes and tries to say, we did it here, you know, you have to do it here, you can highlight the fact that this is very unique. You're redeveloping a used piece of property in a shopping center. The shopping center sign regulations are applied to us even though we're not in the shopping center, and we're surrounded by roadways.
But we've given you an opportunity to put directional signs within that plaza.
And I think what you're hearing from an engineering standpoint is that's too late at that point. The worry is the travel on
You
West
have
Marion
2
Boulevard
entrances to the plaza. There are 2 entrances to the plaza. You can have directional signs within the plaza.
Before I speak again, does
Okay, I'm
anybody else
sorry.
want to speak
I'm
first?
sorry.
Isabel, did you?
I agree with Ron.
You do.
You see, it was signed with Chick-fil-A. Everybody knows about Chick-fil-A. It's a great place.
Doug, you,
And-
before I speak again, you want anything?
No, I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay.
Please.
All right. Originally, like I said, I spoke with Ron, and I was kind of agreeing with him, okay? Since you got up and you spoke, and you kind of made a good point about seeing it well before you get there, so you have time for a safety aspect. Now, the thing is, yeah, everybody that lives around here knows Chick-fil-A and where they are, okay? But you made a good point. There's visitors to the area, there's family coming in and visiting. Hey, let's run down to Chick-fil-A. Yeah, they set us down by the Hudson Valley Shopping Center. So you start driving, 4 lanes of traffic. If I'm all the way over on the left, if I don't know where it is, I'm in trouble, okay? And a lot of times, I know me, if I'm going down and I pass a place, I say, McDonald's is down the road, we'll just stop there. So I get it, okay? And the safety thing for this town is very important also. So, you know, as far as that goes, I can kind of see the need for that sign, okay? I mean, my kids drive that road, my wife drives that road, I drive my grandkids on that road, okay? And I'm sure they're gonna wanna go to Chick-fil-A, but we know where it is. But that clown that doesn't know where it is, that's over here, cuts all the way across, that's what makes me nervous. So, like I said, I was agreeing with Ron, but now I'm kind of leaning the other way, that you made a good point.
But of course of that one guy, that's going to be an idiot. You would
Ron,
Yes.
one guy could kill my
Yes,
granddaughter.
That's right.
Come
Thank
on,
you.
there's
End the
another
conversation on that one.
traffic light, a couple of 100 yards down the road, he can make a left or a right and go around and come back. You know,
He's already passed it, but that's just my opinion. And
So-
by the way, as long as I'm speaking, I appreciate all the stuff you guys have done so far. You've really worked with us, the impervious, the setbacks. I mean, you really worked hard on this. So, I mean, that was one stumbling block that I was kind of leaning with Ron, but I kind of changed my mind. So, I mean, I'd like to hear what everybody else has to say.
Yeah, and one more thing to think about, assuming we get through the approval process, this will be the first freestanding building to come into Dutchess County for Chick-fil-A. So you will have people traveling to this destination.
Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, that's okay. I have a question and a comment. Now, the 3 signs are the 2 signs on the front of the building facing Route 9? One is a logo. Where's the third? Those are the 2 in the front, right?
1, 2, and 3. So 1 per side.
Oh, it's 1 per side.
One's in the
East and
front,
south.
one's facing Merritt.
One facing south.
Oh,
facing
okay.
south.
So the other one doesn't really count, the logo. That's
The
just kind of...
logo, yeah, it's just,
Okay.
you know.
All right, so, okay, that answers that question. The other one I'd say is, aside from a safety feature, which I agree, I also think it's people, if they miss it, they're people are pacifists, they're not going to come back, and it's unfair to the
You don't
business.
think they'll come back? You don't think they'll go down for the
I
next
wouldn't.
exit?
I wouldn't either, that's what I said.
Oh, my
I need
God.
convenience.
Jeez.
I'm
I
gonna
guess
be
you don't
better.
want to go to Chick-fil-A that bad, huh?
Yeah. I can't eat any of that stuff, but
Well, I haven't been
anyway.
there yet, so I don't know.
Well,
I'm not saying I'm sold on it, I just think it's fair to the business, that's all.
And I will,
comments?
And
I would like to share, just our discussion with the planning board last week was all around traffic and traffic safety. So they were very hesitant in adopting the negative declaration, and we spent a lot of time discussing traffic. And the resolution that came about making them comfortable with traffic concerns is we're actually going to be doing a post-opening traffic monitoring study, and that's going to be a condition of the planning board site plan approval. But what that just tells you is traffic is such a critical component of this project that we need to do what we can to make sure and mitigate any traffic concerns to the extent practical. And I feel that outweighs the detriment of allowing that additional sign. It's not going to change the character of this community by allowing that one more sign for the benefit it's going to seek in the traffic concern. The other businesses have the 3 signs. I get it, you want to make a point and stop this trend that's going on in the town, but to Charlie's point, you've been part of this debate and discussion. When the next applicant comes in, you can remind them of this debate and discussion, how challenging it was to get that 3rd sign approved, but the traffic benefit was sought to outweigh the detriment. So
I have another question. The south, since you have a south sign,
Yeah.
a sign facing, if you're coming from the south to north, there's one on that wall right there.
Correct.
We were talking about a billboard sign earlier, right?
we're not involved.
You're not involved in that, not even if you get a sign from the, say, the landlord there?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Just trying to figure out.
I do understand what you're saying as far as trying to make sure that it is very clearly visible. And it's not just the Route 9 traffic, but it's also all of that other traffic that is north of that
That's right.
site. So it is concerning to me, and there are people who will kind of jut out, or they'll be turning, and then more so, I think, than the Route 9, to me, will be the people who are turning to go on to Route 9, and they're in the left lane and realizing, oh, wait a minute, I have to jump over. Because on Route 9, at least for me, I think there's going to be very few people who are going to like take life in hand and like, you know, but you're going to see that on Merritt, like, no
Slow
doubt,
traffic.
and just like cutting across. So I don't feel that it is, you know, so egregious. You know, I think it's a reasonable ask. So, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on that sign.
Well, I would still like you to reconsider. So, I would still like you to reconsider. Take what we discuss into account. And
When's the next zoning board meeting?
the next meeting is
May 20th?
May 20th.
Ron, I just want to remind you, you still have a public hearing open.
I'm sorry?
You still have a public hearing open on the matter?
Yeah,
tonight?
yeah. We'll continue the public hearing till next month,
Is there anybody here that
No,
maybe
you
wants
didn't
to
ask
talk
for public
tonight?
comment.
I'm sorry.
Is there anybody that wants to talk tonight?
Does anybody else want to speak up about this?
Okay,
Okay,
just cover the bases.
yeah.
What we could do ahead of that 20th meeting is take this plan and zoom out. We can zoom out and do some of those sightline trajectories that help demonstrate what I was kind of talking about of, okay, at what point am I going to start seeing this sign? And what point am I going to start seeing
That would
that
be
other
helpful.
sign?
Yeah, I
So you
think
can kind of
that would
see
be very
where
helpful.
that
Thank you.
delta is and what the benefit is of that additional sign for traffic maneuvering.
Okay, all right,
I think that would.
Yeah, that would be great, thank you.
okay.
That's why
almost kinda
you're an
like
engineer.
the couple of pictures you put up there for Chipotle, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That may help. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on the other area variances outside of signage? Are we at a comfort level of what's being requested and what was
Well-
reduced on those?
I can only speak for myself. I appreciate, you pulled back on some of that stuff, and I saw you also added some trees and so forth. So I do appreciate that, yeah.
And we did accommodate the liquor store's concerns with the ring road and delivery, so we've adjusted the crosswalk that was recommended by this board to that liquor store and the rest
Yeah.
of the center too.
It's just that sign. It's that sign, yeah.
Yeah. Understood. And challenge accepted of demonstrating, why we feel it's needed. Thank you.
Hate to make you come back again, but it is what it is.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
I'll see you next
Thank you.
month.
We'll take a motion to continue the public hearing at the next meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, next application. Application ZB25002, Planet Fitness, on 18 Westridge Drive, formerly the famous footwear. Applicant is requesting the following area variances for 3 wall signs. Oh my God, more wall signs.
I thought of you when I was reading that. I'm like, oh, boy.
Your favorite then?
Let's see, 310.7 square foot variance is needed for the town section 150-43G with regard to the proposed building mounted wall signs in the combined aggregate area is 376.1 square feet. For 3 signs where 65.4 is the maximum allowed. Okay, 56.6 square foot variance is needed for the town code with regard to the proposed faces of the existing pylon sign where 20 square foot. Now, is that in the, that's in the front of the building? Which one is that one now? Was that on the monument sign?
That was the Regal, the former Regal sign.
That's on the existing monument sign?
Yeah. Yeah, the pylon.
Pylon sign?
It's existing.
Okay.
We're refacing it.
No
It's in
changes are
connection.
proposed for the existing building, the land, it's just the sign variance, right? Okay. Go ahead. I'm not going to read all this here.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Danielle Federico, the law firm Chiesa, Shahanian, and Giantomasi, appearing on behalf of Planet Fitness Asset Co. LLC, the applicant and tenant with respect to the proposed signage on the property located at 18 Westridge Drive. As the chairman stated, we're here seeking area variance approval to install 3 new wall signs on the property and reface the existing pylon sign with 2 new sign faces. I have with me tonight Albie Sake. He's the construction manager for Planet Fitness. And this Planet Fitness will be occupying the prior Regal Cinema and a portion of the Famous Footwear, which are both no longer there. I stand corrected. The entire Famous Footwear and a portion of the former Regal.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah. We're located in the PSC Planned Shopping Center zone, and as you know, the property is presently developed with the Hudson Valley Town Center. No changes are being proposed to the existing building. We're here strictly for the signage. And with that, Albie, if you could come walk through the plans.
Hello, everyone. My name is Albie Sake. I'm the construction manager for Planet Fitness. I work directly for them. I'm actually the one that's building this location. It's going great, by the way. So I just wanted to, the reasoning behind what we're requesting is very simple. Our main entrance is in the back of the building.
In the back of the building or in the plaza?
In the back of the plaza, the actual building itself. So this used to be the side entrance of the back entrance or the emergency exit for the movie theater at the time.
So you don't see that side of the
You
building
don't
from
see
Route
that
9,
sign.
is what
You're
you're saying.
only seeing it from, I
It's on that
believe, from one
access
of,
road, correct?
from the access road.
Okay.
Correct. So, and it's basically from Westgate Business Center. That's the only view, and that's why, and I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit so you can see. This is our west elevation. Additionally, our main entrance is in about 15 feet, so you wouldn't be able to see, even if you were at the corner of the side entrance, you wouldn't be able to see our entrance, and that was the reason why we actually added the sign here, again, on the wall, to make it visible so that individuals can actually see. However, even with this sign there, from Route 9, or even from the main entrance when you're turning, nobody will know where Planet Fitness is, and hence the need for a sign where the old Regal Cinema sign was. So it's almost like a like for like. We're actually replacing the old Regal sign with our sign on the eastern elevation. And then additionally, where technically this Planet Fitness sign is hopefully going to go here, it's actually replacing the famous footwear sign that was installed at this wall and this elevation. So that's fully removed. We're actually replacing that basically with the sign.
Now,
here.
is this facing 84 or is this facing
This is facing Westgate Drive, which is a side road.
in the back?
In the back, all the way in the back.
I get you.
So you really cannot see anything from whether you're turning
Right,
from
okay.
Merrick,
North or southeast.
yes, or from Route 9. So hence the request for these signs, unfortunately. So this is our main logo, and this is the reason why we're putting it, is for people to identify where they're actually going. So you want to be entering from the main entrance, and that's our main entrance, and therefore our logo is there, which is the thumbs up logo. And then this is really to identify anyone that this is where Planet Fitness is, and this is from the street to make it visible from Route 9.
That's the one that's visible from Route 9.
Correct.
And that's the one that's gonna, where Regal
Where
Cinemas
Regal
is
sign
now?
used to be.
That's really the back of your building.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay, got
So,
it.
and then if I may continue down, on the pylon, I apologize for that. Yeah, let's try to. So this is just identifying what type of material we're using, and then in the pylon, we're actually, so I want to grab that. At the time that this were designed, the landlord had told us the marshals were going to be our neighbor. Unfortunately, that's not the case. But fortunately, Aldi's is going to replace it. So we're only taking the bottom portion of the existing Regal movie theater. So what was the existing pylon at the time for Regal, we're splitting it with the adjacent tenant, which is going to be Aldi's currently. So Aldi's will have the upper portion and we'll have the lower portion of that same signage or pylon.
Just off topic,
Yeah.
the lettering down there, they're going to leave that up there for messaging?
Coming
Underneath?
soon?
Yeah, the coming soons and all the
That's
hiring.
just, actually, by the time this board meeting is, or the board decision is issued, we will be done with the construction.
Coming soon won't be there.
That coming soon might not even be there.
Already
Yeah, but not even the coming
here.
soon, but
It's
that's when
already
they listed
here.
the movies, right?
Yeah.
That's going to remain there?
No,
for
it's not.
messaging. Oh, that's coming out?
That's coming out. It's actually it's a sticker that's placed, once we open, that gets removed.
Okay.
But like I said, by the time
No, I'm
the,
talking about the section of the sign, the whole section of the white. underneath the two businesses.
No, this is gonna be all
That's already gone,
purple.
physically gone.
Yeah, it's gonna be all
Like I said,
purple.
I didn't even know we had a top 5 guys, so.
The stuff, I think he's, and maybe I'm mistaken, are you talking about where they used to list the movies?
Yes.
Okay, so you're just talking about
No.
the top
Yeah, just
portion
the
of
top
it.
portion, we have nothing
Yeah.
to do with the rest.
I do have a question, actually,
So
now
this
that we're
section
talking
here,
about the
basically, right?
pylon. and
I'd
I'm-
like to get back
I'm
to
getting reverb.
the big sign on the building. Okay. That one, yeah. How big is that sign?
So this is 149.8 total square footage. This is replacing pretty much like for like on the Regal sign. So we're not taking additional square footage from
I
what
know,
what
yeah.
was existing.
I don't know how that one got that big either.
I couldn't answer that question for you,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately.
It's
You
like
don't-
for like,
I
but
don't
it still
expect you to
requires
know that
variance.
answer.
Correct.
We're set back very far from the road as well, so.
Correct, so the building, the actual facility and the plaza is set back, whereas the previous applicant, they were right on the main road. We're set back tremendously, so you really need to come into, you
Well-
really need this sign to be able to actually know that Planet Fitness is there.
The code does account for that, give you a 25% addition, so. I think that's the one that might be the problem, but, because, this is going to go, if the county's going to have their comments on this, so.
Correct, but like I said, this is this is gonna be the only sign on the main
Yeah,
road
I
that
get
would
it.
be visible for us to know.
Yeah.
I mean, how else would you know Planet Fitness is in the
And
building?
it's all really.
The other sign, the pylon sign.
Sorry?
The pylon sign, which I actually have a question about that. A community member had asked me, weren't pylon signs being phased out or being sunset in Fishkill? The pylon signs, weren't they being sunset in Fishkill?
Well, I know there's a conversation going on right now about replacing those signs on that plaza. And I don't know what it looks like yet, what the plan
That
is.
may change between now and next month.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, nothing's come before us. I haven't
so
heard
it
anything
didn't-
other than
there
the
was no
fact they're looking at
resolution.
changing these signs. And,
Correct.
And we might not have heard that from the landlord yet, but that
No,
might
we
be
have not
happening.
heard anything.
yeah, it was just something that just talk, there's nothing concrete about that.
Correct,
at all.
and like I said, our sign, it's half of what Regal had before. And on top of all the lettering where all the movies were shown, that's not part of our sign.
Right.
And we're not asking for that. We just want to have some visibility so that people can actually see where Planet Fitness is. We're really in the back of the plaza. Our main entrance is only all the way in the back. The pylon, which only people that are at the stoplight can actually see, and then the signage where old Regal movie sign used to be, it's what really provides us the visibility that we need to attract traffic into the space.
No, that makes sense. I mean, you want to let people know you're in that plaza.
Correct, exactly. I mean, and then additionally, we're actually one of the main anchor tenants of this plaza. We're going to be one of the main anchor tenants, just like Aldi's, and I believe they might come. I'm not speaking on their behalf, so I'll keep my mouth shut there, but at least,
We don't have an application for them yet.
Too late.
that's what I say.
Stop talking.
Yeah, so like I said, we're an anchor tenant for this plaza, and, it's gonna derive additional revenue into the town as well. Because when you're coming to Planet Fitness, you're not just coming from the surrounding community, you're actually coming from other areas. People are driving. The closest one that we have right now, Planet Fitness, is in Wappingers Falls or in Newburgh. That's the closest one. So on this side of the river, the closest one is Wappingers Falls. So most people will not drive all the way there. They needed something close by. Hence, this was the ideal location for us. And this was our only issue, was signage.
And we are, as LB stated, we are taking away existing signage that was consistent with this. And it's an existing shopping center. This is all really needed for pedestrian and vehicle safety. And as he also stated, we're set back, like, very far from the roadway. And this is all to direct people to that anchor tenant, as
Now,
opposed to an inline tenant.
You have a lot of it's all membership in Planet Fitness, right?
Correct,
So you have the same people going there all the time?
yes.
Okay.
But we also rely on new memberships.
So the membership, they'll probably want to find a place once. Once they find it, they don't really need to sign.
Correct, but we don't
Okay.
just rely on those, we rely on new
Okay.
memberships to come
All
join
right.
us. Because just as you know, with
I'm just throwing it out there. you
with
know?
individuals going to the gym, and I can attest to that, I'll go in the first maybe couple of weeks, and then I end up, I'm still paying for it, but I end up not
Yeah, they
going.
call that a fat tax, yeah, you know.
So additional, that's why we rely on individuals to come into the, constant individuals to come into the space. So it's not really unfortunately, yes, we rely on members, but we need additional revenue and additional members. Hence
Understood.
the opening of new
I
locations.
got to bust your chops, that's all.
I appreciate it.
And again, on this west elevation, as Albie also stated, that Planet Fitness logo is set 15 feet in, so it's not duplicating the signage on that side. It's set in, and it's really just that's where the entrance is. So it's to direct
Identification, yeah.
people.
It's kind of a,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not on the same wall face, it's set
Right,
back.
right.
So it really is on 3 different.
Yeah, so
sides.
it's actually, if you
And
were
you
to
say it's half the size of the cinema sign now?
It's it's about the same size,
It's about the same size.
correct.
And then we also took off the.
Yeah, the
Famous footwear.
famous footwear signage that was here on this wall has already been removed by the landlord. That's completely gone. And our Planet Fitness is actually smaller than famous footwear sign used to be, because that's a much longer. It took this whole section of the wall, whereas ours is a lot smaller. Our letters are smaller. And Planet Fitness versus famous footwear, it's less letters.
And also, as this property gets revitalized and redeveloped, this was not a former entrance for Regal. That's also important to know. Like, we're redirecting people to
Right.
a location they might have gone to a million times. I know I've been there when I was younger, but everything's completely changed.
Yes.
And now this is an entrance, it's not
An exit, emergency exit.
Exactly, yeah. Anybody else have any questions? All right, I'd like to make a motion to accept the application.
motion to accept the application?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion to refer this to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development.
Motion?
Second.
There's other ones on there.
Oh, the New York State Department of Transportation and the Roundabout Fire District and the Planning Board, Town Planning Board, for review and comment.
Yes.
Motion. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll see you guys next
Schedule a
month.
public
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You want to take a motion to set the public hearing?
Set the public hearing for next month.
Motion to set the public hearing for May 20.
Second,
2020.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Okay,
very
folks,
much.
see
Thank you very
next
much.
time.
next one.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Have a second?
Nobody wants to go home. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So you bought the bullshit.